So thank you for joining us today. I would like to understand overall industry. What is about like the smartphone industry, the Android industry, where it's placed right now globally and in India?
So we're all clear that smartphones is an essential part of consumer these days. And as an industry, it's kind of grown by leaps and bounds if you take the last couple of years. There are various technological reasons why this industry is kind of taking, because of the innovations which are kind of getting into this space. And of late, we've seen that the 5G space, especially if I talk about the Indian market, is going to take center stage in the next 2 years kind of a time frame. And the reason is simple, because it's not just about the usage which comes out of the 5G data speeds on the handset, but an integrated ecosystem which is going to come out of use cases in terms of the health sector, the insurance sector, the agricultural sector, the banking sector, the safety and security sector. So it's a big play. However, having said that, because of all the economic challenges which the world is facing, we've seen that there is a slight lull in the market. We've seen data from across various analysts which says that, okay, smartphone is either stagnant or kind of declining. But thankfully, I think with the India story and this whole Make in India campaign, which we are kind of partnering with the government in terms of driving this whole Make in India, this industry is going to bounce back very, very soon. If not Q2, but we expect Q3. And the reason why I say this is purely that the harvest season, the crop season is kind of kicking in. You have the festive season then kind of kicking in. And those are the growth drivers, along with the innovation and the price point push, which the manufacturers and we in particular from a Nokia perspective will do to drive this industry for sure.
So I see two phones in front of you. One is a feature phone, which you are famous for. One is a smartphone. And you were saying that it's a very competitive phone and we should all wait for it. The prices are going to be announced very soon. What's the new thing about it?
So the unique is the fact that if you put it on the table, and that's what exactly I've done, just look at the phone. It's a very, very compelling consumer proposition. Look at the design, look at the color. And these are all basis the consumer feedback which we've kind of receiving on what do you get in terms of glass back. So if I was to talk, it doesn't have a fingerprint sensor here, but it's a fingerprint sensor which we put on the side. So these are little nuances and changes. And of course, from a hardware spec perspective, it's a power packed phone. It's with the 50 megapixel camera. It's a front 8 megapixel camera. It's about in terms of what's the artificial intelligence integration we bring around to the camera. It's not just about feature spec. It's about the consumer experience which we as Nokia kind of bring into our devices. So really power packed phone in terms of the look, feel, design, the fact that it's ready from an Android 13 perspective. So it's not about, okay, you get it in 2 months or 3 months kind of a time frame. It's on the go, latest, available, and I said at a very, very compelling price points which we're going to bring.
We all are waiting for the price, but I like the color. It's very lovely. What's the name of that color?
Any guesses?
Looks like, emerald, ivory, mix of.
So we call it breezy mint.
Breezy mint. Oh, okay, great.
So we have
the jewelry kind of a finish, like a stone. Very beautifully done.
Yeah, thanks. And it's not just one color, but we're bringing it in 3 colors. So we have the beach pink, the breezy mint, and the ever popular charcoal, which works really well. So it's a hue of 3 devices, colors and shades, which are kind of bringing to the Indian consumer.
I can say very summery colors for the device.
Yes.
Really excited about it. Now we've seen that, a lot of Android users also expect a lot of customization options, kind of overlays and themes on top of it. But Nokia HMD has always been gung-ho about, clean Android.
Yeah.
Absolutely clean Android platform for users to experience. But we also expect a lot of users getting customization options. Any additions or any changes that you've made? Because when you were talking about the device, you mentioned about the new music player layout and other changes that you've made to the UI.
Yeah. So the new music player, it's not the change to the UI, it's the Android 13 upgrade, which is kind of leading into this. We still believe that the clean UI, which we have been kind of propagating, is the best form of device. And the choice in terms of what consumer wants to get and break away from clutter, the choice should remain with the consumer. And we should not force it on the consumer. So our philosophy, even with this device and in terms of the devices which are coming in, is clear. It's a pure, clean Android which we will drive. And how actually we work with consumer on this is that we are the only ones which are kind of promising upgrades. Okay, so from a security perspective, the story fits in because we give security updates which nobody else gives. From the Android updates, we are the ones, and this is not across high end of the spectrum. Across our price points, we give security updates, and with a clean UI, we are able to give that to the consumer. So we are pretty clear. We are going to drive this, and the choice remains with consumer. So it's clutter free, no ads, nothing. And that's how we kind of design our UI and work.
Great. So consumer can always get pure Android from Nokia. That's a great deal. I wanted to understand, recently we've seen a lot of shift towards, budget devices from Nokia, but we also expect a lot of different set of devices like, rugged devices you launched, the XR series, also the high-end series that you launched, the 8110s of the world and everything.
Yeah.
So do we expect these devices to come, or is it just going to be the focus on budget segment?
So see, from a portfolio perspective, we are present in every end of the spectrum. So essentially, we have 3 series from a consumer perspective, which is C series, G series, and X series. And C series, it's not that we focus deeply. That's what the market is all about. Even if you take the price point segmentation in the Indian market, the price could range as low as from a 5,000 device to a 15,000 device at broadly the kind of specs which the consumer are looking at. And we play in that every segment. So we have a device right from a 5,000, which was some exciting devices on C01 and C01 Plus, which we launched, and coming on to these beautiful devices, which are at very, very attractive point. However, having said that, it's not that we do not have offerings in G series. So we have a lot of products in the Indian market which are on G series. We launched X30. And some of the learnings which we have from launching, and globally we announced XR21, which you mentioned about the rugged phone. It's the most rugged phone, so as to say, in terms of, we say it's a military grade. So for any outdoor kind of usage and tough usage, those are the phones which we are kind of dividing. And when we are doing that, I think the clear focus from our perspective is also on the sustainability story, because we believe over a period of time, that is going to be big, because we are a responsible corporate and we know that we need to be the ones which is driving that whole sustainability story. And it's good for us, it's good for consumer, it's good for all of us. And that's what we're trying to inbuild along with the security. So consumers behave differently. There could be consumers probably in the western part of the world where probably they take security at a different level. But increasingly, there is a lot of awareness in terms of what's happening to my data, what's happening to my phone. And I think that's where we kind of build and differentiate, because we build one of the most secure phones at these price points for consumers.
Of course, and I also feel that it's not just about the software that is robust, but the devices overall.
Yeah.
The look and feel and the kind of the way they're made are very robust, and it feels that you're holding some good device in your hand.
Yeah. So if you hold this, okay, you will get a feel that it's not only about the outside.
Correct.
And inside is hollow, but even from the kind of frame which we design inside to hold the PCB and all, is to ensure that there is a complete compatibility and sturdiness around the product which we kind of design.
Absolutely. So recently the government announced the PLI scheme for laptops and tablets, and you are doing great in the tablet segment also. Do you think you'll consider making a lot of more tablets in India?
So right now, we sell it as an opportunity, but right now what's happening is our focus is in terms of shifting entirely towards this whole Make in India. So majority of our feature phones and smartphones are now Make in India. We do not import, and that's something which we want to build as an ecosystem, more as a supply chain. And soon, depending on the business size and opportunity, we could venture into tablets as well. Because if you look at tablet markets, and again, post the COVID or during the COVID, that market jumped. And probably that market got saturated at that space. Right now, we see that the consumers have bought a lot of those devices. And over a period of time, I think there'll be new use cases with the government's push on education and things like that, which will further actually drive that market.
And I also feel that the longevity of the tablets is huge. Then you can't compare it to the smartphone, because if you buy a tablet, you use it for 5 years. You won't keep changing it every year.
And a lot of these initiatives actually are getting driven through government, because we see a lot of state governments driving to drive education, especially for the girl child or in general. wherein we can partner with some of the edtech companies and with the state institutions to be driving this category forward as well.
Absolutely. Before we end our conversation, I want to do a little bit gupshup, and you can talk about the gupshup feature of your feature phones, which is really the first time in industry that it's happening.
Yeah. So obviously we are the pioneers in terms of getting the whole UPI and Gupshup. So Gupshup app is fully integrated into 105 and 106 4G which we have. It's a very seamless experience where for not a very kind of active feature phone or a smartphone user, just by a click of a button and through an SMS, you can make the digital payment. So it's for the very first time we've kind of introduced it. It's compatible with the 8 languages in which we give our phones. Even if you don't have a UPI account, you can still create that account and actually go ahead with your transaction. So I believe that can be revolutionary and a game changer, because the opportunity, especially with this digital payment kind of a thing, is huge in the country. And that is where we can bridge the gap. Because in terms of a terminal or a device, this is, or a smartphone is the center for around which the whole ecosystem is going to rotate. And if we bring more and more power to this device through this UPI and Gupshup and 123 kind of an integration, that's a good start point from us. Equally, as I said, next step for that is in terms of once we have announced our camera phones, feature phones, we will have a scan and pay kind of an integration with the Gupshup as well.
So that line that divides smartphone and feature phone, very getting closer because of you guys, because UPI on a feature phone is something that we all dreamt of. How long did it take to work on it?
It's been a good effort. I would not put a number of days or weeks or the number of man-hours or the people who kind of put it, but it's been a very close cooperation with NPCI and team at Gupshup. So really a lot of work, and we got some good feedback in terms of the discussions today of how can we actually take it to a larger installed base. So we're going to work on that feedback as well.
That's great. So all consumers, if you're waiting for a phone that lasts more than a month and still you can make payments and forget your wallet at home always, well, this is the phone for you. Just for UPI payments, get this phone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.